Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, capital markets analyst and host of your cannabis business podcast. Today with us, we've got Jose Escalante. He's the CEO of Futura Farms. Jose, thanks for being with us at the Talking Hedge.
Hi, Josh. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Nice to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Tell us a little bit about Futura Farms, where you're at, what it is, all that stuff.
Sure. So we define Futura Farms as a cannabis company. It's a cannabis company, Tech Enabled Cannabis Company, with a mission to promote health, wellness, and quality of life by democratizing access to medical cannabis in Latin America. What we actually do is we have developed a digital platform, a digital ecosystem that helps patients navigate through the bureaucracy of getting or acquiring a cannabis treatment. We connect them with trained physicians, which we train ourselves, and with authorized vendors, which we provide the products to.
Okay.
Everything through a 100% digital experience.
So let's back that up a little bit and maybe explain like why you have this company. So are you in Peru?
Yes, based in Peru.
Okay. So you're down in Latin America, you're based in Peru, and from my understanding, the market down there is different from every state. You know, any region is different, obviously.
Yes.
So my understanding down there is you guys have doctors and nurses that can authorize medical marijuana, we'll call it that. And so you have this online platform to essentially make it easier, more accessible for individuals to get to those the medical authorization professionals?
Yes, correct. So what we've been seeing in the market, and especially with the pandemic, people are preferring services that don't require them to get out of their homes. So we do everything through telemedicine, and we try to send products to our patients' homes, which is possible with CBD products, at least, not for THC. But we try to do everything digital and make our patients' lives easier.
So is the need for your platform, is that because the pandemic has created a sense where people want to stay home and there's that fear factor? Or is it conservative individuals who don't want to be seen going to cannabis doctors? Or is it just so heavily regulated, people just don't know how to do it?
It's a little bit of reason A and reason C. So the pandemic has helped digital services expand. So everything's, not everything, but a lot of things have people tend to do more things digitally. So they order food digitally. They don't they more often than order food via apps than the phone or going to the restaurant. There are a lot of telemedicine services that have risen with the pandemic. So the pandemic has helped the digitalization of a lot of industries, and that's a good reason that or a good opportunity we saw to take advantage of. And I don't think the second reason you said that people are trying not to get seen going to the cannabis doctor, because here in Peru, every physician registered with the CMP, the Colegio Médico of Peru, can prescribe cannabis, so you can get cannabis from any doctors. But doctors are very conservative, and they don't know a lot about cannabis, so they are very, at least at first, they were very reluctant to prescribe cannabis. Mm-hmm. So we decided also to invest in our own medical service in order to generate the demand.
Well, tell me a little bit about that, because I find it very challenging to have to educate and then sell. That's a hard thing to do. Normally, or most of the time, the product will sell itself. In this case, you have to educate a doctor on why they should be prescribing. And that's a huge part. In the US, or even North America, Canada included, the bud tenders are like the people who are prized because they're the individuals between the customer and the product. Right. But in this case, there's a barrier or blockade, and that is the doctor. How do you educate the doctor in order to get them to prescribe?
Yeah. So just start here in Peru, the market is a little bit different because it's a health market. It's a medicinal market, not a recreational market. Mm-hmm. And you have to get a prescription before getting any kind of cannabis products, either CBD or THC based products. I'm sorry. Can you repeat the last part of the question?
Yeah, I'm wondering how the process of educating the doctors. How do you educate and then sell?
Yeah, so we made a partnership with an American company called the Medical Cannabis Institute, TMCI, and we co-developed a course, 3-module course, basically a medical cannabis 101, right? So the first 2 modules are medical and scientific, and the third module is about the Peruvian regulation and how physicians must prescribe and what can they do and what can't they do. So we first give that course or sell that course to the physicians. And after that, we have weekly meetings with our medical directors and doctors of the platform and outside the platform also, in which they go through medical cases, scientific evidence, and answer questions of specific cases that physicians have. And this is an ongoing education. It's not that you have one course and that's it. It's you have the course and then you go over it every week as you need to attend these meetings.
How accessible is it? I would assume a lot of people are still using mobile phones. Is this virtual or telemedicine, or do they have to go into a location physically? How does it work?
It's all telemedicine. You can have your medical consultation via your computer, on your phone. Mm-hmm. If you have issues with the connection, or with the teleconference system, the doctor will call you to have the consultation via phone call. Yeah.
Okay, so this isn't just a platform to connect you and then you go into the office. This is from start to finish. Yes. You log in, you meet the doctor, you get your prescription, and then you're done.
Correct. 100% digital experience. You can also order your products through our customer service team, and the product will arrive no later than 24 hours to your house.
And are you involved in that process as well?
Yes. We try to close a circle.
That's smart.
What we try to do is help the patient get everything they need in one place instead of hopping from store to store or from vendor to vendor. And if you make the patient's life easier, they tend to return.
And so do you have a license then for delivery? Are you involved in the production or the branding? Tell me a little bit about how licensing is how it works in Peru and what your involvement is at each level.
Sure. So there are basically 3 broad kinds of licenses in Peru: research licenses, production licenses, and distribution and commercialization licenses. We hold a distribution and commercialization license that allow us to sell product to pharmacies that have a commercialization license. And so we sell our products that we develop with different cannabis producers, basically in Colombia, and we import them in Peru. So we sell these products to pharmacies, which subsequently sell them to our patients.
And you're able to import that. Can you export? Germany's talking about going legal. That's going to, have another round of pot stock, crazy market reactions. But before that, are you able to? So you're importing from Colombia. Can you export to other countries, or is it just with them?
I can import product from every country that has a regulation on cannabis, medical regulation. It is possible to export cannabis. My license doesn't allow me to, so I can only sell locally to pharmacies that have the license. But the production and cultivation licenses allow you to export the product.
Okay. Why would somebody want to buy Peruvian cannabis? California is pretty famous for it, but we're kind of hearing that Latin America might be producing, 5 to 15 cents GMP certified with landing costs. Is that possible?
I'm not quite sure. I'm not in the production side. We're not looking into that. But with that being said, Peru is a very famous country for agriculture. We have a lot of infrastructure in that regard. We have very favorable weather and soil for cannabis. So I anticipate that not only Peru, but other countries in Latin America, such as Colombia, would be a very good source of cannabis if things are done right. Peru, unluckily, hasn't been moving so fast. So we only have one issued production license. They have a beautiful facility 2 hours out of Lima, pharma facility, extraction lab, everything. But it's the only one, and they just started planting, so I'm not sure when will Peruvian cannabis will be available at a reasonable price for the market to acquire.
What about the local market? What's the quality and price that you're paying down there?
Local market is a really price sensitive market. CBD prices in Peru are very, I don't want to say low, but it's not an expensive market. And the dynamics of the market is weird. Right now, we estimate that over 95% of the market is controlled by informal vendors, because it's an industry that has been illegal or informal for the past, 100 years. And I'm talking about just the medical, not the recreational illegal market, but the informal medical market. And it's the dynamics are weird because prices of the informal market, including the tele or the medical consultations, are often higher than the formal market. So it's weird, and I attribute that to people that don't want to go through the hurdle of a medical consultation, and they are already used to buying their CBD tinctures in the corner out of their house. And it's something that we need to change in the following months.
What are some of the top reasons that people are going in and getting prescriptions?
We have, in our case, the three main ailments that we treat are anxiety, insomnia, and chronic pain. We have received patients with MS or epilepsy, but the main ailments we're trying to treat are those three.
Okay. What are they buying? Have you noticed some buying, or do you know, like based on your platform, what they're ordering? Is there a buying preference that you're seeing? And has that changed since the pandemic?
Yes. So the beauty of our model is that as we are 100% digital and we're so close to patients and so close to the doctors, we generate a lot of data. So, and the main data we're focusing in is noticing what's the market buying and what's the market requiring. And right now, most of the prescriptions are for CBD, different concentrations, starting 5% CBD, going up to 20. and there's preference for one-on-one CBD and THC products also.
Okay. And how's that changed? Did you notice people combusting less during, the height of COVID? Did they switch to edibles like we saw in North America? What is like the before and after picture look like, or maybe like the during?
Yeah, it's hard to sell. So just for you to understand the timeline, medical cannabis was formally introduced to the market in December 2019 through one government-controlled pharmacy. And they started selling medical cannabis in private pharmacies in October 2020. So it's hard to say how did the market behave before the pandemic. Besides that, the products allowed to be sold here in the market is very limited. So we can't sell edibles such as gummies. We can't smoke flower. The vaping is super restricted. So basically, they're pushing towards capsules, soft gels, and tinctures. So that's the tinctures are the best-selling products in the market right now.
Yeah, normally flower is around 60%. In California, it's the lowest, around 42%. So the fact that you don't have that is really restrictive, similar to what we saw in Canada for a long time before they had their quote 2.0 rollout. When is Peru's 2.0 rollout, when you can have edibles and flower and concentrates and all these other things?
There's an ongoing conversation with the regulator in order to change that, and it's hard to sell when we're trying to push for cosmetics right now because it's technically not prohibited in the regulation, cosmetics and edibles and vapes. I don't see flower coming into the market anytime soon. There are a couple of players trying to sell flower as formula magistral, which is basically compounding. And saying, if the doctor prescribes flower to me, I should be able to buy it in a pharmacy. And let's see how that goes. And I think that experiment will go live sometime in 2022. But to say definitely a time frame in which we will see flower being sold in the market, it's very hard to say, as our regulators are very, very, very conservative, and we have basically two regulators, the equivalent of the FDA and the equivalent of the DEA. So these guys, Dirandro, are very, with reason, they're very scared of what can go in the market if they allow flower. If it may be a gateway for the illegal market to gain some terrain there.
Is there an issue with D8? Have you heard about Delta 8 coming from hemp and being psychoactive? Would that be an issue to convert hemp into a psychoactive competitor to THC? Is that something that they're nervous or worried about?
There's no Delta 8s or other kind of cannabinoids similar in Peru right now, at least formally. There's no, the regulation is a medical cannabis regulation, and it basically does not allow hemp to be grown. So we're pushing for a hemp regulation. Many players in the market, and we're trying to see that happen next year, which will allow cannabinoids such as Delta 8s. And I don't anticipate that if we provide a framework in which the regulators can actually control and supervise how this is dispensated and how it is sold in the market, we don't anticipate that they will be very reluctant. The good thing of our regulators, which was surprising, is that they are very inviting of the private sector and cannabis associations to co-create or co-develop these new regulations and the modifications to the actual regulation. So that's a good thing.
That is good. So they're open to people coming in and assisting. What about investors?
Yeah, when I spoke about the private sector, I was speaking about private companies and investors that are related in the market. So yeah, for example,
talking about any restrictions, like Washington State has a 10% cap on any ownership, so you can't own more than 10%.
No, there's no such thing here. It's open and free. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, that's great.
Are you seeing a lot of investment or interest coming in from either local or overseas?
I was in an event in Mexico, and they were very. I received at Peru as a very nice. Seeing that, as I said, excellent soil. We grow a lot of products here. We avocado. We export. We're one of the leading countries in agriculture. I see that there's a lot of interest in see how Peru can perform in the production of cannabis, and this is a challenge for the regulators to help private companies, new companies get licenses and start putting Peru right there where Colombia is, and most probably where Mexico will be next year when their regulation opens up. And it's important to see that our regulators help us become efficient and competitive in the market. Mm-hmm. Especially with news such as Germany last week opening up for recreational use, mm-hmm. and given many markets in Europe will open their regulations. The U.S. I don't know what the time frame is, but they will legalize federally eventually, and it's a great opportunity to reactivate the economy post-pandemic. So the Peruvian economy has been hit enormously, and cannabis could help our economy to get back to where it was and generate jobs and create taxes and all that.
In addition to all the jobs that the production and the brands and the retail would create, what about tourism? Is that anything that regulators or officials are talking about, and how would that impact the Peruvian economy?
I haven't heard of cannabis tourism yet for Peru, but given that Peru is a very attractive place for tourists, we have all this history, all this culture. I can't rule out a good balance, a good merge between cannabis and tourism. Currently, there's tourism for substances like ayahuasca. So there are clinics in the Amazon, clinics in Cusco that offer ayahuasca services that are legal. Yeah, why not cannabis? We can grow great cannabis and dynamize our economy and create more jobs and all that with tourism. Yeah, it's a great idea.
Is ayahuasca something that you guys are researching? I mean, cannabis research is really kind of famous out in Israel. What have you guys found through your research? What are you guys focusing on?
So there's not much medical cannabis or cannabis research being done in Peru. There is some. What I have found is that there are some companies and organizations researching Amazonian plants. So there's this company, they have this the only cannabis license in Peru called Can Farm or Fumata Farms. I'm sure you know them. They have been collaborating with institutions in the jungle that investigate Amazonian plants in order to generate more products, properly done products, not only for the Peruvian consumption but to export. That's a great thing, because we have our backyard is filled with plants and fungi and whatnot that could be pretty beneficial for us as humans, and we need to take advantage of that.
You mentioned that you're getting a lot of data. You're a tech-enabled cannabis, this platform for Futura Farms, and a lot of that, it means you get to see a lot of data. What are some of the demographics or other data that you can share with us that you're able to kind of see, like who's buying and what they're buying, how much on average they're buying? Like any data you could share with us? What are you seeing?
So basically, we have three kinds of customers, like people in their 20s or mid 30s that are looking actively for cannabis treatments. This group is much more lenient with us. They don't have this stigma. They are open for cannabis consumption, not only in the medical side, but they also would love to have an adult market. Then we have people around 40, 50 years old that have grown with a heavy stigma that cannabis is a drug and cannabis is bad for you. But they are slowly noticing that products such as CBD that don't get you high and give you a lot of benefits for anxiety, for inflammation, to help you sleep, and all that. They are opening up, and the third group are the parents of the second group that they have a lot of problems, right? They around 70, 80 years old. They can benefit a lot from cannabis treatments, and they don't know much. They are the ones who this bad publicity that cannabis had like 100 or 50 years ago. But they are open right now. The problem they have is that they don't know how to get it right. They're 70 years old. They're all set on their ways, and the dynamic we see is that their kids, we're talking about 50-year-olds, hook them up with us. They do all the process that then get the products, and that's an interesting dynamic. So they basically buy or get their products for their parents, and those are the three main groups we have identified that are looking for medical cannabis treatments here in Peru.
What percentage are women? I would imagine, if I had to guess and say, if the top three ailments were anxiety, insomnia, and pain, there'd be a significant amount of women involved. And then with CBD, even more so. I'm guessing 50, probably maybe 60% are women. Yes.
There are a lot of women. There are a lot of women in our platform, at least 50%. And as you said, it would be 60. And mainly because I'm not sure how it is in the US, but here in Peru, the women are more inclined to take care of their parents. So who actually or usually contact us to get a medical consultation for their parents are usually women, and they probably also have ongoing medical treatments with CBD. Not so much THC, but that depends really on the doctor. But the CBD is more.
Yeah, I would say in the US, it's more about the women kind of being the house manager, if you will.
Right.
They order the groceries and they buy the things that need to happen within the household.
Yes.
Same concept.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, we talked about a lot. Is there anything else that you kind of want to throw out there at this point?
Not really about our operations. I believe our operations are quite simple, all digital. We're trying to move from Peru into Brazil and Mexico next year. So next year will be a very fun year. A lot of work and
Does any of that have to do with getting into the US? Because I know that with what used to be called the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, if you got into Mexico, then that would be an easy access into the US when US federal legalization happens. Is that part of your game plan? Or are you just trying to get into the market in Mexico?
Yes and no. We thought of moving into the US, but currently we think that the US market is kind of confusing regulatory wise. Everything changes state by state, even county by county. And we believe we know Latin America, culturally wise, Mexico and Brazil and Peru, Colombia are very similar, regulatory wise also. So we see we have an opportunity to be a leading company in Latin America, which is a huge market, over 600 million people. And we identify Mexico and Brazil as the largest markets in Latin America. So our strategy is to gain leadership in those markets. And maybe when the US legalizes federally, we go into the US appealing for a Latin American population, given that there are over 60 million Spanish-speaking people in Latin America, in the US. I'm sorry. So, but that's a maybe. We haven't planned that out yet. We're focusing on Latin America.
Yeah, I live in Seattle, a suburb in Seattle, and the mayor in Burien is Mexican, and there's a lot of Latinx individuals in the community. So yeah, coming into the U.S. would be good. There's a lot of folks here that would resonate with that product, I would imagine. And
I haven't seen much platform for products in Spanish. Everything's mostly in English.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
there's an opportunity there.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's kind of a missed opportunity. There was the whole thing with there's a vitamin store scandal in the US, and that there was a lot of Latinx customers and they got involved with that because they're looking for a more holistic approach and they don't really know the avenues and there's not a lot of trusted individuals. So yeah, I think that would be a added benefit to the community for sure.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Where can people find you at if they're interested at any level, investors or consumers or anybody in between? Where are you at? Social media, website, and all that?
Yeah, so we have two websites, futura-farms.com and organical.com with a double N. So Organical is the name, is the brand of the telehealth service. Futura Farms is the brand of our products. You can find us there. We're on social media and Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, basically everything. Great.
Check them out with that. Probably can't put some of those links in the show notes because YouTube hates that, but
yeah,
for sure. So I think with that, we're going to have to roll this one up. So I want to thank my guest, Jose Escalante, CEO of Futura Farms. Appreciate you being on the Talking Hedge.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you for having me, and it's been a pleasure.
Likewise. Well, I'm Josh Kincaid, and this is the Talking Hedge. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't, and I'm out. Don't forget to smash that like button on your way out and check out these other videos that we've got.